Hi, buddy. My name is John. I'm a grateful recovering addict and alcoholic. I wish there was a term I could say that covers them both, but yeah, I'm an old school recovery guy, and this article is promoting oldschoolrecovery.com. And what it is, it's a meeting where you can go to if you're like me, and you got clean and sober. You got clean and sober in AA. 40 years plus I have, and one white chip, and I'm proud of that. Never went to treatment. Hit 1,000 meetings my first month because there were that many AA meetings around, and then NA started coming around, and I found a real much different experience with NA that I did with AA. I love NA because NA saved my life, and I did go to a lot of NA meetings, and then I got got chased out. No one chased me out. It's someplace where I wanted to go. I just and when I was already deeply entrenched in how the AAs conducted themselves with the traditions and with the steps and the technicals, and they were like really hardcore, old school. That's what I needed, and that's what I turned into. So the question is, what's the difference between AA and NA? And why do people frown upon going to AA or going to NA? It's funny. I was looking on the internet for keywords, and that's how we do our marketing on the internet. And it was people said it's like people frown on addicts going to AA. I think it's the opposite. I think most addicts that are really serious about their recovery and don't want the drama and all the craziness seek sanction in an AA meeting, because you know what? They're the mothership. They started the whole thing, and there's a lot more sobriety in these meetings. And I got to tell you something. I have gone back and forth and back and forth. 7 years I was asked to share at an NA convention, and a week before the convention was the first time I was going to share at a convention. They said, "Oh, by the way, you can't share because you have an AA sponsor." My sponsor had 40 years. He was a pillar in the AA community. His sponsor was Ray Allen, and Ray Allen was being sponsored by Bill W. So how much better does it get if you're an addict and you get into the program and you're looking for someone to show you how to do this thing, and you pick someone like Fred T, and he's a legend. Fred T was amazing, and I didn't have him too long, a couple of years, and then I, my stupidness, it's another story, but I learned so much from this guy. He was a spiritual, guy. And I said to him, I said, "Fred, I'm supposed to share this NA convention, and like they're saying that I can't share because you're my sponsor, because I have an AA sponsor." And Fred was very, very cool, very low key, and he said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And that wasn't good enough for me. My ego was bruised. I was all ready. With a hot 7 years or whatever I had, I was going to be in front of that convention. And I was going to tell everybody how hip, slick, and cool. I just about lost the hip, slick, and cool by that time. I had just about gotten out of the confusion of what was real and what wasn't. I don't know if you're like me, but my false image, my false pride was amazing when I first came in. And it took me a long time to decipher. Like I'd tell a story, and then I go back and say to myself, "Wait a second, is that true?" Because my story was such pure bullshit, because I was just so empty. And there was nothing there. It was all false, and I had to put a story together, to like give me some kind of meaning or whatever. So anyway, the difference between AA and NA, in my opinion, is that AA is much more mature. It's been around much longer. And again, you may say, "Well, that's not my experience," and that's fine. That could be your experience. The beautiful thing about recovery is we get to pick our own higher power. We get to pick what meetings we go to. And the bottom line is that NA needs to understand that AA started the 12-step program, 1,220, no, actually 200 plus 12-step programs out there. And then you go ahead and you're like, well, when you put a bunch of weeds in front of NA, in front of the steps, and all of a sudden it's like your program. No. It's like, yeah, Narcotics Anonymous is your program. But the bottom line is AA started it. And you need to respect your elders, and you need to respect the mothership. And I don't see that. And a big turn off to me was that disrespect. $3 in the basket if you stay sober, And it's like, think how confusing it is for someone that goes to a treatment center. And in the treatment center, they're hearing words like sober, and they're hearing words like clean, and they're hearing words like clean and sober. And then they go to their first AA meeting, and they talk about cocaine, and some AA guy slams it. By the way, I'm not saying it's just NA. AA does it too, but not as bad, you know. And I went to a meeting where this kid came out of treatment and started talking about coke, and this alcoholic sitting on a pedestal saying, "This guy, yeah, you don't get to use the word cocaine at my meetings." And it's like who the fuck do you think you are? You know, and like, what kind of compassion? This kid's a newcomer, you know. So I grabbed the newcomer and I walked out of that meeting. I never went back to that meeting again. I know principles before personalities, but you know what? That's not the kind of message I believe in. And Narcotics Anonymous is much worse than that. It's like outright discrimination. It's like, you know what? I recently was hosting a meeting. Matter of fact, this meeting that I'm promoting right now, which is Old School Recovery.com, and it's going to be a joint AA-NA meeting without the bullshit. And it was a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. It was old school Narcotics Anonymous. People with 40 some odd years were sharing for 9 minutes, 7 minutes, the same story over and over and over again. And meantime, I'm building this meeting up. I got like 18 people, and no one else is allowed to share. And they got to hear the same bullshit over and over again. I mean, it's all about the newcomer. Whatever happened to like the newcomer is the most important person at any meeting. And not even if he's newcomer in time, but he's new to the meeting. You know, so let's like welcome them and let's hear their story and let them become part of. You know, so what happened was I went ahead and pulled a business meeting. Group conscious was yes, we're going to start using a timer, and a couple of people right there in the business meeting just unplugged. You know, no one's going to tell me how long I'm allowed to share. There's no rules in this meeting. It's like, what are you talking about? What happened to traditions? You know, and then they went ahead and they had a business meeting, not during the meeting. And they decided to go ahead and break away. Instead of the coffee pot, they try to steal the login, but I'm too smart for that. So I said to myself, you know what? I'll hand you over the login. You guys can do whatever you want. It's been a year. You know, it's not been easy hosting this meeting and going through all this crazy. I actually didn't share for months because I wanted to make sure everybody shared. And so this is kind of like a resentment, but not really, because you know what? They can do what I don't really care. Everyone has their own individual program. And you know what? The beautiful thing about AA and NA is no one gets to tell you who your higher power is, and you get to choose and pick your meetings, you know. So that's not for me. I need traditions. I need to vote. I need to go by group conscience. And the bottom line is the newcomer is the most important person at any meeting. And this meeting never had newcomers. I mean, it was just all about hearing, you know. Anyway, long story short, I created this particular meeting, which will be a joint AA-NA. And if you're like me, you started out a long time ago, and you started out in AA, and then you kind of worked into NA, and you know what? You don't get to take that away from me. That's part of my experience, strength, and hope. So I've created a place where we can share freely without worried about what we could say and what we can't say. We can even curse at this meeting. So the bottom line is, and you can talk about Cocaine Anonymous. You know what? How funny is it that Cocaine Anonymous is a lot of people from NA that got tired of NA. They started this Cocaine Anonymous down here in Florida. And Cocaine Anonymous uses the big book. What a slap in the face, right? And you know what? This Cocaine Anonymous is flourishing. You know, so to me, it's like the maturity. To me, it's like the predecessors. Yeah, this stuff started 88 years ago, and it's not 100% up to date. But it works, man. It's just like amazing what these guys with 5 years sober, these guys went ahead and wrote all this information and the 12 steps of the traditions. How amazing. How proud am I to be part of that, you know, and you should be too. So oldschoolrecovery.com, we meet on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. I'm not looking to have 100 people. You know, I like nice, small, intimate meetings where we all get to share, and you can talk about drugs and you can talk about alcohol, and no one's going to give you shit about anything, what fellowship you came from, and none of that kind of stuff. There'll be none of that discrimination. How spiritual are you when you discriminate against another addict, especially if that addict is addicted to the drug alcohol? I mean, it's just everything. It's just so crazy that something like that can happen. I got the balls to go ahead and say, not me. That's not for me. You know, so we follow traditions, we follow the group conscious, and we're going to have a lot of fun together, because this Double Winners Anonymous is probably the most intimate meeting. If you're an AA and if you're a Al-Anon, or you have someone in your life or something like that, look at me promoting everything, right? Just go to doublewinnersanonymous.com, and those are two hot meetings. You know, we're stepping out of the box here. You know, we're starting to do some stuff here that's really working well, and I invite you to be part of that. Thanks a lot. Have a beautiful day, and God bless.